keep repeating myself. Like Tim thinks loophole is a bad thing. So
lawyer.
In order to achieve what? The loophole.
It's not a loophole when you are doing what the law tells you have to do.
What?
All right, let's look up the word loophole.
Would he pay taxes on money he doesn't have?
I just think there's that's
let me ask
the
you a question.
workaround. So if you have,
that's the problem with the law. He's not a good debater.
So let's not play the game of you think Jeff Bezos intentionally took an action to obfuscate his wealth and avoid paying taxes.
You don't think that's what he's doing here?
No.
Obviously, he can't afford to pay himself more, right? It's not like he's making billions of dollars in his companies. Like, bro, what are you talking about, Tim? How do you say no to that? You don't think Jeff Bezos could pay himself a little bit more?
It's not a loophole when the government passes a law that makes you do these things. The loophole is a term used by activists to go after people who are wealthy and claim they're doing something maliciously when they're doing what they're contractually obligated to do or what the government requires them to do.
Yeah, see, that's such a garbage definition of loophole, but okay, Destiny. I mean, instead of using the word, because some people are just idiots and they'll hear one word and then they'll get triggered by it because of their past experience. And that's literally what Tim is doing, and it's so annoying.
Even the top 10,000 people. So there's an issue.
So you're more like a communist.
No,
bro. So this is where it bothers me. Now you're just like they literally just disagree with his argument. So now we're just gonna call him a communist.
No, that is the issue at hand. No, he purposefully set it up this way so he would
fundamentally misunderstand how any of the corporate structure works in this country. Let's try this. Let's start.
You fundamentally misunderstand the point that he's trying to make. Tim, shut the f up. The reason why this bothers me because he's coming off very condescending, and it's the same reason why I don't like Destiny. We're not gonna watch the whole Tim Pool thing because there's only certain parts that really bothered me that I have to give him some criticism, some constructive criticism, and yeah, it's gonna hurt because I like my Beanie Boy. I like my Beanie Boy.
He's given us a gift. He has ordered the firing of 6,700 IRS agents, and somehow, Democrats are angry about this, and somehow, progressive activists are angry about this. Now, what I'm so just darn confused by is these far-left extremists should be very happy with the destabilization or, I guess, the gutting of the federal government, right? Okay. The other story we have is a Tesla location was just shot up with stickers slapped on the window saying, well, I don't want to repeat this, but they're calling for harm to Elon Musk. And I'm just so gosh darn confused.
That's actually kind of nuts. Not gonna lie. That's nuts.
Confused about this. The Antifa far leftists believe that the U.S. government is a fascistic terror state. And Donald Trump gets in, he's like, I'm going to fire everybody. And they're like, no, wait, don't. Elon Musk comes in, he's like, we're going to fire everybody and work with Trump. That was actually like an Elon-Trump combo. And then the activists are like, they go and they shoot up a Tesla location. I got to be honest, I think these people are fascists. So we'll talk about that. Plus, Donald Trump has declared the cartels to be terrorist organizations.
Okay, so the things that he says in the beginning, I don't have any disagreement here because he's just sharing the news.
Organizations, which opens the door for drone strikes on them in Latin American countries. Holy crap. He then called Zelensky a dictator for refusing to have elections. And the Washington Post said he called Zelensky a dictator without evidence, despite the fact the statement was literally dictator with no elections. I got to say, I absolutely love how the media has no ground left. Nothing they say makes sense. The far-left activists, nothing they say makes sense. You know, during the first Trump term, at least there was some semblance of a counter-argument. Trump says, I'm going to hire Bolton. The Democrats are like, no, wait, that's a really bad idea. And then some libertarians were like, we also agree. And we're like, here's this conflict. Then Donald Trump says, I'm going to fire a bunch of IRS agents. And somehow, progressive activists and Democrats are all on board with the federal government now. Seems to me they have no real convictions, and Trump is exposing them for who they are. We're going to all that, my friends. But before we do, we got a great sponsor, probably the best possible sponsor for this story. It's Tax Network USA.
Yeah, that's great.
The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world.
WhyzGuy.
All right.
That didn't go down well in Europe. The dictator line from Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I kind of stay away from the Ukraine stuff because, like, I don't. My mind was changed on that one topic. I forget who did it. Like, we looked into the whole wasting of money, and it turns out just because the IRS made a mistake doesn't mean that doesn't mean that Ukraine lost all that money. It was an accounting error.
WhyzGuy. Not that we will do anything about it.
Yeah, Trump's statements are not the best, and I understand why Europe doesn't like it. Like, Trump is very he's very isolationist compared to every other president that we've had, and Europe is just not used to that. So it's just Like they want, like, we're supposed to be buddies, but Europe doesn't like the fact that Trump isn't really being buddy anymore with I guess you guys. So I understand why Europe is very critical of Trump, and it makes sense. And I don't disagree.
Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Chloe Cole.
Hi.
Who are you? What do you do?
I primarily speak on the gender issue, and I advocate for the protection of children and vulnerable people from irreversible and harmful gender transition treatments. And this mainly comes from my own experience as somebody who's been through the system myself as a child.
Interesting. And another story we do have, RFK Jr. has just announced, as per HHS guidelines, woman is adult human female. So this is.
That's funny. We now have a proper definition in the system of what a woman is. The whole what is it called? Matt Walsh. What is a woman? Yeah, like he literally made a whole documentary in 2022 called "What Is a Woman." We finally got that, boys. We finally did it. Oh, bro, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
So thanks for hanging out. Should be interesting. We have a lot hanging out.
RFK coming into the administration of, I think he's the head of health now in the U.S. And now we finally have a proper definition of what it means to be a woman. I mean, I feel like it's kind of silly, but at the same time, it's so weird how that we need to have that definition like made. Like, wouldn't that definition exist already? But like, it's funny how it's now coming into existence. Like, it felt so self-exclamatory, but whatever, I guess. Let's just keep going.
Hey, everybody, what's up? My name's Alad Eliyahu. I'm a journalist here at Timcast. Chloe, it's so nice to have you on tonight. I've been following your story for years, and I'm happy to see the tide finally turn on this issue, especially with Trump coming into office, and we'll dive into that.
Alad, I was on your side. Wait, no, I said was. I'm still on your side.
A little bit more later. What's up, Raymond?
Hey, bud. Good to see you here. I'm looking forward to talk to my first neocon. What's up, guys? It's Raymond G. Stanley Jr. I work here. I do good things. I'm blue collar, a U.S. Marine Corps veteran. But I also want to shout out Mr. W. David Lilly. He painted a beautiful painting of.
Literally, the mascot of the entire thing, the chicken, Roberto Jr. He lost the name. He basically lives and breathes Tim Pool, but doesn't remember the name of the chicken that was like the first, I think. Roberto Jr. No, Jr. So that implies that it's the second. But whatever, you know what I mean. But that's crazy. Crazy. And everyone, Tim Castaro, was like giving him so much grief for that.
Roberto Jr.
How dare you?
I know.
Bro. Thinnest of ice now. Thinnest of ice.
My apologies.
Rest in peace,
R.I.P.
Roberto Jr.
R.I.P. Sir. Phil?
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
All right, we're going to just skip to the part to where they actually start disagreeing.
And it's particularly the probation folks. He's been firing folks who have been probation.
All right, so this guy sparks the debate because he uses a trigger word, and I will explain what that trigger word is as soon as he says it.
For the government service.
Yeah, they're new.
Years. That's all it is.
Goodbye.
That's the same thing.
Well,
Sorry, folks.
You know, Chloe, you're not a like heavy news, culture, and conflict commentator. So I feel like the IRS stuff is probably outside your wheelhouse.
Yes, like I'm slowly moving in that direction, but this is like kind of foreign to me.
Perfect. Do you like the IRS?
Not really.
All right. See, that's the point. You know, so I'm glad you're here. Because we get, like all of us, we sit here, we read or watch the news all day, every day. We deal with, filing our taxes. You're in this regard, I know like you're a specialist in a specific cultural area, but in this regard, you're more of a layman. And if you don't like the IRS, then I am right.
No one likes the IRS. I don't know any American.
Let me
really
steel
loves
man,
the
I
IRS
think,
except
this
for-
argument. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think
Oh, okay. All right. Steel manning. I feel like, steel manning is not the trigger word per se, but this probably is definitely a second runner up to the trigger word that I'm talking about. Like, it's that steel manning is like a good faith thing to do for like giving the arguments of the other side to show that you understand their arguments and there's the validity. You just don't agree with it. All right, we're gonna keep going.
the argument goes along the lines of, because it's the most difficult to tax and follow up with the highest earners who are able to avoid the taxes in the most lucrative ways, that we need all of these people, and that the tax revenue that they will bring in will out earn the kind of cost that it costs to employ these people. Is their argument.
But then the argument that they make, we need to get the billionaires and millionaires to pay their fair share. That's BS right off the start. Like, it's a non-starter. We need to have these 87,000 agents so they can go after the millionaires and billionaires, blah, blah, blah. But then the IRS itself says, we don't go after those people because it's not worth the effort. So they're actually hiring those people to go after the regular people.
Right now, I guarantee you, Democrats and liberals are
Worse,
probably making
Neri,
YouTube videos where they're
them not knowing what Stillmaning is.
Okay, so they do know what it is, but I feel like okay. I feel like okay. Well, let's just keep going. I might be over exaggerating that point. But that's just the feeling I got.
They're like, Elon Musk is firing IRS agents so that he and his crony buddies don't have to pay taxes. Let me just explain something. It takes one IRS agent to handle an account of a billionaire. Now, if they want to do a full audit and go through everything, it's going to take a lot more agents than that. But
we haven't even hit debate mode yet, but I see how everything is kind of connecting the dots. I was listening to this passively live, so I didn't know it was going to happen. I wasn't really paying too much attention to the beginning part. But then when they started getting into debate mode, I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? Let me pay attention to this.
The decision to target an individual and look at their general finances is not the most complicated thing in the world. What's impossible for the IRS is to go after 3 million individuals. Let me put it this way. One billionaire, as Phil already pointed out, and we as a corporation, and every corporation deals with this, if the IRS comes to you and says, we think you owe X amount of dollars, you look at your tax lawyer and you say, do we owe that? And if they say no.
Okay, wait. I felt like we were getting close. Okay, wait. This guy was the one that started it. Okay, let me skip all of Tim's rambling. Like, I don't really need to listen to this right now. I want to...
Then we'll fight it. That's what the IRS is all about. That's what they're doing. And I don't care if they're probationary or otherwise, and I don't care what they were doing. Fire them all as far as I'm concerned.
And the billionaires, the rich folks, they know the loopholes.
That's the word. That's the word that started it all. Loophole. Loophole. Remember this, boys. Remember this, boys. Remember this, guys. This is oh, this hurt. This hurt, man. Loophole. That's the trigger word, guys. That's the trigger word. Yeah. Well, let's just go. Thank you. Thank you for throwing this. It's funny because he says this word and then he never speaks a word ever again, ever again for the entire podcast. He doesn't say anything after this podcast, like after this one moment. Well, until they got off topic and then they start actually talking to the guest and going through her past and stuff like that. But then they, at the end of it, when super chats, they go right back into debate mode, and I'm like, okay.
They can get away. What?
It's let me explain it like this. I don't actually rich their probationary or otherwise, and I don't care what they were doing. Fire them all as far as I'm concerned.
And the billionaires, the rich folks, they know the loopholes. They can get away. What?
It's let me explain it like this. I don't actually think it's fair necessarily to call them loopholes.
It's not fair to call them loopholes. Okay, all right. That's an well, that's a claim. All right. Now give your argument. It's a claim, and I think that's more opinionated. Like he's giving an opinion right now, basically. Like because he says it's not fair, which is like how can you objectively say if something is not fair or not, right? I don't think that's possible because like what you think is fair isn't what everyone else would think is fair. Or you're going to find someone else that's going to look at that same situation and say, well, actually, no, it's not fair. I mean, or it is fair. Like some people will agree that it probably is fair. So that's more of an opinion statement, but he's making a claim. So now he's going to make the argument.
Before I owned a business, a lot of employees, loophole seems to make sense.
Yeah.
When you actually get into all of the taxes, there's no loopholes. There's literally just what the law is. Because the IRS agents...
Okay, that's not an argument. Like, you agreed that loopholes made sense, but then later on, you're like, now that I have a business, I don't like the word loophole anymore. That's basically what you're saying. You didn't actually make a legitimate argument. You just said, before I was a business guy, loopholes made sense, so I kind of like the word. Now that I am a business guy, I don't really think it's fair to say business loophole anymore. That's basically what you said.
When you actually get into all of the taxes, there's no loopholes. There's literally just what the law is. Because the IRS agents know exactly...
Man, this is what I would have asked. Like, what is his definition of loophole? I want to know I would have asked that just to see what he's talking about. Because obviously something changed and they never explain it. And I really feel like they harp on this one word for the entire time for like the next 2 hours. For the next 2 hours.
When not a billionaire is going to pay. It's not a loophole. They're just like, oh, you don't got to pay taxes on this for this thing. So the way it's phrased by activists, particularly on the left, they're like, billionaires use loopholes and not pay taxes. And I'm like, when you claim Amazon paid no taxes, what you're basically saying is that they reinvested the funds or their margins were slim and reinvested. The IRS knows that. So it's not a loophole. It's literally the purpose of tax law. So the funny thing I hear from a lot of people is that if we lower taxes, you'll create more jobs and things like that. And that's technically true, but technically not true. There's a happy medium, and you have to know where it is. So if
I was going to say Destiny, Tim Pool still hasn't exclaimed or explained why he doesn't like why he doesn't like the word. All he's saying is like, I don't like the word. Leftists use them. I don't like the word. Amazon did this thing. I don't like the word. Like, you're just explaining why you don't like the word loophole. That's all you're doing. You're not actually giving like a factual basis of like, we shouldn't use a loophole in this way. So it bothers. I'm frustrated because like later on he's like saying that the other guy is wrong, and I'm like, what do you mean wrong? You just disagree with that he thinks loophole is okay to use or would be okay. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's just keep going.
If I was told, hey, they're increasing the corporate tax rate to 70%, I'd be like, wow. Okay, well, we better reinvest that as much as we can. So what would...
I know I'm harping on a lot of little things that he's saying right now, but it's only because I have so much knowledge in the future. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to shut up.
we do here, we'd hire as many people as we could because we're going to lose all that money if we don't. So it's not necessarily true that lower taxes means more hiring or the other way around. It just really depends. But you'll hear from a lot of these activists. They will say whatever...
Activists bad, guys. Activists bad. And they use the word loophole bad, right? It's not explaining why loophole is bad. It's just like, just because... It's like saying, oh, Hitler drank water, so like we shouldn't drink water because Hitler did, and it's bad, guys, right? Like, look, even Hitler drank water. I'm like, bro, okay, fine, you can have that opinion, but that's not like a factual basis thing for... Okay, let's keep going.
Whatever they need to say to confuse you, they will say, billionaires don't pay taxes because it's a loophole. And I'm like, no, Elon Musk isn't paying billions of dollars in taxes because he doesn't actually have cash. That's not a loophole. Okay, well, he made X amount of profit last year, and I'm like, and it's locked up in stock. Stocks.
We don't have to call it a loophole, but it is a sort of...
Thank you. We don't have to call it a loophole. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. He even says, we don't have to call it that, guys. But then people still pin... Okay, all right.
We don't have to call it a loophole, but it is a sort of workaround that is an issue with the ultra wealthy. And, well, whatever. There are laws created that allows them to pay much less.
Actually, I'm going to give him constructive criticism right now because for his entire argument, he did do a poor job of explaining himself. The only reason I was able to understand what he was saying is because I took a really good faith. Well, let's see. Maybe you guys might not see it, but I feel like I was able to see his argument, even though it was kind of difficult for him to explain it properly. I really wish he would explain it in the way that I was saying it in my head when he was saying it, just so you can make the other guys understand. But I feel like the other guys were just... let's keep going.
An ordinary person doesn't taxes, and I'll explain to you how it goes. I'm not talking about Amazon the corporation, but Jeff Bezos, for example, was famously paid something like only $83,000 while he worked there, but the shares and his net worth was a lot higher than that. So while he was paying a lower marginal tax, his net worth was like in the hundreds.
I
understand it's not cash, but
hold on. You want to play a game?
No. I don't support this, and I don't even support a wealth tax. But I'm saying these are ways
for...
loophole.
It's just a generic term.
There are laws.
He's literally saying he doesn't support this. I'm just telling you what there's a problematic issue here. All he's saying is that there's a problematic... Okay, I'm gonna explain this, and we're gonna use Oh wait, actually, we're gonna let me copy current time, and then we'll throw current time to a new tab. We'll just throw it here. Boom.
There are laws
and
we'll
keep this here, right? Boom. We'll keep this right here. Actually, we're gonna move this. Now we'll leave it right here. We'll minimize it, and then we're going to jump to when they show a graph. There we go. Boom. Okay, so this is what they use, right? He uses this. So the argument that Alad was using, right? This Alad guy. He was basically saying, oh, you guys can't even... I'm in the way. Hold up. Let me fix this. All right, so basically, Alad, this guy, was talking about how he's talking about that there's a problem with the 1% of the 1%. So this is what this is all of the 1%, right? Basically. 1 million plus, we'll just use that as the example. A lot is saying that the 1% of this 1% is only paying what everyone, like all the other 1%ers are. And there's an issue with them making astronomically like more amount of money, that we should probably have another progressive tax rate for the 1% of the 1%, right? That's all he's saying. It's problematic that they don't make it, right? And everyone else here is like missing that point.
Wealthy, that's such that it allows them to pay less taxes than a much poorer person.
That's absolutely not true.
Which part of it?
Absolutely not true.
Wait, let's go back and listen to everything that he said. But that's the issue, though. They keep screaming over him, and then they complain about, oh, why are you like screaming over us? I'm like, bro, you were doing it. You guys were doing it first.
Not cash, but
all right, hold on.
Tax his shares, something like.
And it's locked up in stock. Stocks.
We don't have to call it a loophole, but it is a sort of workaround that is an issue with the ultra wealthy. And well, whatever the law that there are laws created that allows them to pay much less than even an ordinary person does in taxes. And I'll explain to you how it goes. I'm not talking about Amazon, the corporation, but Jeff Bezos, for example, was famously paid something like only $83,000 while he worked there, but the shares and his net worth was a lot higher than that. So while he was paying a lower marginal tax, his net worth was like in the hundreds. I understand it's not cash, but
all right, hold on. You want to play a game?
No. I don't support this, and I don't even support a wealth tax. But I'm saying these are ways.
It's not a loophole.
It's just a generic term.
There are laws made.
It's not a loophole. Like, what? Why are you harping over this one word? Like, he literally just said we don't even have to use the word loophole, and now he's like, oh, it's not a loophole. I'm like, bro, Tim, you're not even listening to the guy. You're being retarded right now.
For the ultra wealthy, that it allows them to pay less taxes than a much poorer person.
That's absolutely not true.
Which part of it?
Absolutely not true. First of all, the wealth.
How is it not true? Explain that. Is he going to explain that, or is he going to talk about something completely irrelevant?
Wealthy pay substantially more taxes on average than if you look, the wealthy pay substantially more taxes on average than if you look at the
well, he wasn't talking about the wealthy, Tim. He was talking about the 1% of the 1%. Let's see. Will this work? Yes, it does. Holy crap. Why doesn't this? There we go. Thank you. Boom. Because my camera's there. Okay, so the wealthy, right? Tim is talking about the wealthy. What a lot is talking about is the 1% of the wealthy. Wait, I can write on this. Tim is talking about this. I mean, a lot is talking about this. These people should not be paying the exact same amount as all of these people, because they're like they're the tippy top of the 1%, right? That's all he's saying. This is problematic. These guys should be paying way more in taxes because they pay like the progressive tax rate is just not big enough, right? They want more. Basically a lot is saying these people all the way up here, all of these guys, he wants them to pay, like, it's problematic that they don't pay all that extra, like all the money that they're making, because they're making, like, these are all 1 million plusers, right? And then maybe 10 million is here, but between 10 million and basically almost $1 trillion, like, it's the 1% of the 1%, but like, that's what a lot's talking about. So Tim is purposely just saying, oh, you're talking about the wealthy, and I'm like, no, he's not talking about all of this. Alad's not talking about all of this. He's only talking about all of this. And it's really frustrating.
Curve. It's a parabolic curve. The higher the income, the more taxes they pay in total. I think, what is it, like the top 1% pay something like 47% of all taxes?
Jeff Bezos
Jeff Bezos pays the same income tax that every American pays. He then pays capital gains tax.
That's the problem, Tim.
And the activists argue that capital gains should be income, and that by not paying...
He's not making that argument, Tim. He's not making that argument. You're ascribing an argument that he's not making, and you're getting upset over that because you think he's making that argument.
The same amount on capital gains as you do on your income, that's a loophole. That's not correct.
Well, as I understand, he hasn't sold a lot of his stocks when he wasn't
allowed
to. Well, when he was employed there.
First of all,
now he has.
Stock is not cash and can't be spent.
Yep.
So you can't claim that he should be taxed on something that's not money. But let's play this game. I have in my hand a tech deck fingerboard that I put together myself.
Bro, Tim is about to. The reason why this bothers me, because he's coming off very condescending, and it's the same reason why I don't like Destiny. He's coming off very condescending and very elitist, like he knows all this stuff, which I'm sure he does. But like, to talk down at Alad like this is, oh my god, it rubbed me such the wrong way that I really wanted to make a video on this. It really bothered me because it's the same issue that I have with Destiny. He talks down to people as if like he's better than everyone, and I'm like, oh my god, as if his opinions are superior to everyone else. And Tim is about to make some. He's gonna, well, all right, just make it, but it's gonna be irrelevant.
Not a great look there, Tim.
Yeah.
Now, how much do you think someone will be willing to pay for Tim Pool's fingerboard that he actually uses during?
Okay, good. Tim, you're going to explain something that Alad already knows. He already knows this. Like, you're gonna be like, oh, look, I made a board, and it's gonna cost money, and now this board is yours, Alad, so the government should pay it, right? You should pay more money now because you got my board, right? And I'm like, Alad didn't make that argument. Like, you're ascribing an argument that he didn't make. Like, it's such a bad, I want to say a bad faith interpretation, but I feel like Tim is just very emotionally charged at the fact with loophole. Like, loophole is the reason why he's so emotionally charged right now. It's like, it's not fair to call the loophole. And Tim just says because he doesn't like the word, basically. Like, he didn't actually give like a legitimate explanation on why he doesn't like the word loophole. He just says it's bad because leftists use it, and yeah. And I wasn't a business guy before, and now that I am a business guy, I understand it. So it's not fair to call the loophole. Well, explain what you saw as a business guy that made you change your mind. Don't just say you changed your mind and now we're supposed to just to believe you. Like, explain the changing of the mind. Come on now.
During the show and does Hollywood. What do you think?
$350.
$350? Okay.
$5.56.
It's now Ilad's. Ilad, you got to pay the government $100 taxes income because I gave you that. Simply by that being yours, that was cash, that was a transaction. That's how the taxes work. You now owe money on that. That's income.
I guess I'd be in the hole. But Tim, let me ask you. So Jeff
See, he didn't even make the argument. That's why he doesn't care.
Bezos was getting paid $80,000 a year while he was the CEO of Amazon, and he was worth something like hundreds of millions of dollars because of Amazon stock, and billions. Right. It depends on all the time.
Cash and
I understand. How do you think he should only owe taxes on 83? I'm down, Phil. So you think Jeff Bezos should only owe whatever?
Okay, Ilad, how?
Oh my God, it's just a yes or no question. It's a yes or no question. Stop prescribing. Stop trying to jump into like what he's gonna ask next. Like, just say yes or no, and then move on.
Would he pay taxes on money he doesn't have?
I just think there's a that's
let me ask you a question.
That's the problem with Alad. He needs to get back and get, like, he's not a good debater. He is not a good debater. He's good at being disagreeable, but they're not really good at weaving their way through a debate and making the other person understand what they're saying. And what he should have done is say, I need a yes or no. I need a yes or no. Like, this is just a yes or no question. Stop prescribing all these extra things that you think I'm going to say next. And that's what Tim is doing. And it's so frustrating because we didn't need all this.
If you have above a certain amount, I think people argue that you should be forced to sell a small amount.
No! Oh my God, Elad, please.
That's the argument. That's not what.
Elad, stop. Just stop. Calm down. Let me explain. If Jeff Bezos could, which he legally can't because there's fiduciary responsibility to a company, meaning, one, he has a contract that bars her from selling stock, okay, unless a certain threshold of stock value is met. Two, if he dumps stock, the stock price collapses and it could cause the company to spiral into a free fall. The stock is used to generate revenue for the company to operate if they're not generating substantial revenues. So if Jeff Bezos was ordered by the government to violate his contract and sell stock so that he could cover the wealth tax they put on it, the company would enter free fall. Everyone would dump the stock overnight. It would become worthless. And then paradoxically, Jeff Bezos' net worth would be $100 million. And then he wouldn't owe those taxes in the first place.
The issue at hand here is
Alad knows all that information, Tim. He knows all this information. You're explaining something that he's not arguing against. Like, this started off from a steel man, right? And now they're getting upset that he's actually like really giving like they're losing they understand what a steel man is, but we're so far away from when he said it that they don't even remember that he said that. Now they all think that everything that he's saying right now is his beliefs, and then they're just gonna call him names. And I'm like, bro, you have no argument when you just start calling him names.
Then paradoxically, Jeff Bezos' net worth would be $100 million, and then he wouldn't owe those taxes in the first place.
The issue at hand here is that there's clearly an issue with how we're taxing people like this.
Yes, I agree. And the reason why I agree is because we're gonna go back to this chart here. This nice little chart that Destiny, that Tim Pool brought up. I'm so annoyed, and I'm always usually annoyed about Destiny. That's why Destiny's name comes out so easily, because like he's always pissing me off. But Tim Pool, he brings up this chart from ChatGPT. Good job, Tim. A little bit. It is problematic. There is a problem. The problem is that these guys are being paid the same as everyone in this category. What a lot is saying is that these guys should be paying a little bit more. Have a new category. That's all he's saying. Have a new category. He doesn't know what the number should be. It should just be a little bit bigger than what everyone else in this category is paying. Like, that's all he's saying. That's a problem. I see the problem. It's not really fair that these guys, all at the tippy top here, is just makes like an extremely amount of money, just paying the same exact amount as only people that only made over $1 million. Like, there's some people that made over like $1 million and they don't really have a giant business that's worth almost trillions of dollars or multi-billions of dollars.
Mercenary. Isn't it on a percentage? So
yeah, yes. And Alad is saying that we should have another percentage bar. So like, let's just say this is 1 million and the percentage is like 50% of your value. I don't think it's that high. Actually, it might be, but let's just say this is 50%, and then this would be everything less than 1 million would be less, right? So this would maybe be 40%, 30%, 10%, 20%, 10%, 5%, 1%. Like it's progressively lower. Alad is saying that it's a problem that these guys are only paying 50%. Maybe they should be paying another number higher, maybe 51%. What? Like, these guys up here, if your net worth is this high,
is that justified?
I don't think it's justified. I wouldn't implement that, but it's a little bit of a problem. It seems a little bit unfair, and I sympathize with that. I wouldn't put that into practice, but the fact that Tim doesn't even want to acknowledge that this is like even an issue or even perceived as an issue from any other point of view is the thing that really bothered me. I'm like, I can see it. I understand it. I wouldn't implement it, but at least be charitable to his argument. Like, he's not even making like such a radical thing, and they make it seem like he's making this such a radical thing. Like, multiple times Alad is going to say that he doesn't know what the number is. He just says that it's a problem or it's problematic. And problematic is a problematic word, because problematic is like, it's a problem-ish. Like, do we really need to like go into this? He sees it, but he's not going to personally implement anything. So
it would become worthless, and then paradoxically, Jeff Bezos' net worth would be $100 million, and then he wouldn't owe those taxes in the first place.
The issue at hand here is that there's clearly an issue with how we're taxing people like this. If you think Jeff Bezos should only
I already explained.
He owe money on his $83,000 of income while he was working there, and not anything on any of the hundreds of millions of dollars that he had in stock and net worth. There's a serious issue there, because there are people who are making
he's gonna make
hundreds of thousands of dollars who are, again, paying more than Jeff Bezos was at the time.
I gotta stop
and if you don't think there's any issue with somebody like that paying significantly less than, again, like people like millionaires, people making millions a year.
I'm gonna mute you if you just keep ranting and saying wrong things over and over again.
He's not saying wrong things. Shut the fuck up. Like, you just disagree with what he's saying. He's not saying wrong things. Like, oh my God, I'm just gonna mute you if you just keep saying wrong things. He's not saying anything wrong here. He just has a different opinion than you. Like, that's this has really pissed me off. Saying wrong things. You literally sound like Destiny right now. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up. So I'm gonna mute you if you say wrong things. All right, fine. It's your show. Okay, do it. But like, respect level is going down now a little bit. Going down just a little bit.
That's an L, Tim.
Yes, that is a big L.
He did not make cash. There's no income.
I said his net worth.
His net
Hundreds of
worth
millions.
is...
See, you're purposely not understanding what he's saying. He's like, Tim is still talking about net worth. Like, oh, we should do net worth. I'm like, bro, that's not what he's saying.
paper that exists in a nebulous concept in the mind. Do you know what paper value means?
Oh, wait, let me go back.
Making millions
I'm
a
going to
year.
mute you if you just keep ranting and saying wrong things over and over again. He did not make cash. There's no income.
I said his net worth.
His net
Hundreds of
worth is
millions.
paper that exists in a nebulous concept in the mind. Do you know what paper value means?
How much is Jeff Bezos worth?
I think it's $170 billion.
Okay, and when he was CEO of Amazon, what
does
was his
net worth mean? What does net worth mean?
It means your culmination of your assets.
Okay, and where does the value of those assets come from?
The demand for them.
And what happens if the government says we are seizing your stock?
The stock value will go down.
And then what does he owe? Nothing?
He'll owe some. The issue is that he should be paying more. The amount
more. What? He has no cash.
Okay.
Bro.
Tim is triggered. Tim is very triggered right now. He's playing. Oh, Tim's debate strategy is so garbage. His debate strategy is to keep asking him little questions over and over until he says that he doesn't know, and then harp on the one thing that he doesn't like, that Allah just doesn't know. Like, okay. I mean, Tim is a bad debater, but this guy, he's not. He's smart, but he's not a debate. He doesn't have the debate tactics. He needs to be listening to Destiny a little bit more. I'm not gonna lie, to navigate through this a little bit easier. But
I think he's purposefully setting up his assets in such a way that this will be the net result. And this is what people.
Yes, okay, that's the thing that's problematic. I wouldn't change it, but I understand the issue. The issue is that Bezos, that makes tons of money, and or actually is worth tons of money, is only paying himself 80-something thousand a month, which is equivalent to about $1 million per year, and that means he'll get taxed on that system. Jeff Bezos doesn't have to pay himself that little. Jeff Bezos could pay himself even less if he wanted to, or Jeff Bezos can pay himself even more if he really wanted to. Like, that's not fixed. There's a like, you can go higher than $1 million per year. It's not like Jeff Bezos is saying, "Oh, I can't give myself more than $1 million." No, that's not what's going on here. Jeff Bezos can give himself maybe $200K per year if he $200K per month, which would be way over $1 million per year. If he really wanted to, and he would put himself into a higher tax bracket, because I think there is higher tax brackets. But people they only want to pay themselves $1 million so they don't have to pay a higher percentage. That's the loophole. Or that's the thing that's the issue. They pay themselves lower just so they're in a lower tax bracket. But that's how the system is, and Tim Pool is triggered by the word loophole, and that's why Tim is like, "Oh, you're saying something that's leftist or progressive." I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay. Like, that's, if you want to have that low-tiered, low IQ type of that one-dimensional thinking, I mean, it's annoying, because Tim, like, it's
Where's
okay
Harry?
to call it a loophole.
They should fix that loophole.
That's the issue. I don't
Where's
think
Harry?
I don't think they need to
Winky
fix
face.
it. I don't think they need to fix it. I don't think they need to fix it. It's just so annoying that Tim is just not understanding this, and then calling his opinion on why he thinks that's a problem wrong. Like, why are you saying it's wrong? It's not wrong for him to have this opinion. He thinks that's an issue. That's fine. Oh my God.
People are talking about when people like Raymond were saying the loophole.
If he
this is
sells
the
the
loophole.
stock-
The loophole is
If
the
he
laws
sells
that
the stock, he has to pay on the gain, on the realized gain of all of the cash.
Oh my God, Tim! You're harping on the stock. Who cares about the stock? Jeff Bezos could pay himself more. Focus on that. But you're not gonna focus on that because you don't want to call the loophole. Like, it's so stupid. Like, Jeff Bezos could pay himself a little bit more to be in a higher tax bracket so he can pay more in taxes. That's it. That's all he could. But Jeff Bezos chooses not to do that because, hey, A lot of people don't want to pay more in taxes, and a lot of people could live off $1 million a year. So, yeah, even though I'm making all this money, or my companies are making all this money, I'm just gonna pay myself a modest amount of $1 million a year. That's fine. It's a little bit of a loophole, but like it's fine. I think he should be able to do that. I don't think we should change that. But Tim is just so focused on the loophole aspect. Oh, we shouldn't you're saying that he's doing this out of malice, and I'm like, bro, like what? Yes, he's exploiting the code in the system. He's using the system as the system is built. You don't like the word loophole, and honestly, I think the other guy should have just given Tim Pool that win, because Tim is just triggered by the word loophole. So a good debater would see that loophole is triggering the other person and not use that word anymore and just explain. Literally, if you just explain what a loophole is, I think Tim Pool would agree. But you didn't explain it. Instead of using the word, because some people are just idiots and they'll hear one word and then they'll get triggered by it because of their past experience. And that's literally what Tim is doing. And it's so annoying because he's being so arrogant right now with this guy. Like, I think the fact that he just called him like his opinion is wrong, that's the thing that really bothers me. So I'm kind of being uncharitable with my beanie friend here, but come on, Tim.
She brings in.
You could do better than that.
Tim,
on the realized gain of all of the cash she brings in.
sure, but Tim, you understand
So
that he's
when he
purposefully taking a
realizes
low.
the
He was
income-
taking a low income on purpose. He was taking a low salary on purpose to be able to affect this loophole. And
Yes. That's true. That is true. He could pay himself more if he really wanted to, but Jeff Bezos chooses not to. That's the thing that's problematic to him, or to the steel man of him, because I don't even think he necessarily disagrees with that. But like that's the thing that looks like an issue. Like people on the left would say this looks like an issue, and I think he does a good job at steel manning, but he's not like, he understands the other point of view, but he doesn't know how to sell it to these guys. He doesn't know how to sell it. And I mean, he's not really trying to sell it, but at the same time, he's not doing a good job explaining the other side, which kind of goes back on the whole point of me saying that he's good at steelman. He's good at understanding the other argument. He's just not good at articulating it back to other people. Yeah, let's just say that.
that is the issue at hand. No, he purposefully set it up this way so he would
fundamentally misunderstand how any of the corporate structure works in this country. Let's try this. Let's start.
You fundamentally misunderstand the point that he's trying to make. Tim, shut the fuck up.
Slow down. What is a C corp?
There's like,
Oh my God. What does that have to do with anything? What's a C Corp? What does that have to do with anything? That's his response. That should have been his response. What does that have to do with anything? What is a C Corp? What do you mean, what is a C Corp? What does that have to do with Jeff Bezos? Like, bro, get out of here. Get out of here. Like, we're talking about tax income and stuff. Like, okay, say that Alad doesn't know what a C Corp is, right? What's the next question? Oh, you're an idiot. So why should you be talking about this? Oh, because I don't know what a C Corp is? I shouldn't have an opinion on what I think Jeff Bezos should be in a higher tax bracket or not? Like, oh, I don't know what a C Corp. Oh, that trumps everything, guys. Good one, Tim. Like, good one.
a C Corp and an S Corp. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the exact.
You don't know why they exist. Okay, first,
one's for an individual, I believe, and one's for a group. But you could go ahead.
Right. So the issue here is,
oh, the condescending tone. It's coming. Oh, I feel it.
If you don't understand something as basic as like they have B Corps now, LLCs, an S Corp technically is an LLC, a C Corp is as well. There's special classifications. If you don't know what those mean, I mean, that's 101. Okay?
That's 101. That's not an argument. What? If you don't even know what this is, it's 101, guys. Like, wow. What are you saying?
Okay. So if you look to a CEO who's running a company and then you go, he should pay money on money he doesn't have, is what you're saying.
That is not what he's saying. That is a very bad interpretation of what he's saying. Like, I can see why he says that, right? I can understand that what Alad is saying kind of sounds like that, but that is a very bad faith interpretation of what he's saying. It's not that he's wrong. He's just doing this in a really bad faith type of manner because he's emotionally charged by the word loophole. Good job, Tim.
Because the company he runs is worth a lot of money. we have a problem here where logic has failed.
What the fuck does that mean? We have a problem here there where logic has failed. What are you talking about? And what does that have to do with him knowing if a C Corp, what a C Corp is? Oh, it's 101, guys. Logic has failed. None of this makes any sense.
My point is, let's start with, you don't even know what a C Corp is, so let's not play the game of, you think Jeff Bezos intentionally took an action
Dragon.
to...
What is Elad saying? I couldn't figure out what point he was trying to make.
Here, we'll go back. The issue is that a lot gets cut off so many times, and it's difficult. I would have to play it without me speaking over it. Here, a lot is basically saying, and I agree that a lot is doing a poor job at explaining the Steelman point that he's trying to make, but I'll give you a fair interpretation of what I think he's saying. I was gonna try and see if I can play it again, but I feel like it's not gonna work because I do agree he's not really doing a good job at explaining it. But what Alad is doing is saying that Alad says, okay, so we'll talk about Jeff Bezos here. Let's Control Z all that, right? So Alad is this is a chart of all the tax brackets in the U.S. basically, right? So we'll use Jeff Bezos as the example. Alad is basically saying that Jeff Bezos, where on this graph would Jeff Bezos be? He wouldn't be down here basically at where 1 million is. He would probably be all the way up here where 1 million is, right? So like people that make just 1 million plus, right over here. People that make maybe 10 million, it's probably right over here. People that make 100 million is probably right up here. And then we got the multi-billionaires that are like way all the way up here. This tiny little smudge all the way up there. Like all this. A lot is basically saying it's problematic. It's problematic. So not really that much of an issue. Like he wouldn't change this, but it's problematic that these guys all the way up here pay the same amount of taxes as all of these people. All of these people. If you just made over 1 million, you pay the exact same amount of taxes, or you pay the exact same percentage compared to all the people that are up here. And that's all he's saying. That's all that he's saying. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's problematic. It is problematic. But there's another let's just say let's just pretend that there's a whole other tax bracket over here on this side that's even higher, right? Tax bracket that's even higher. Now, Jeff Bezos is purposely paying himself only $1 million a year. So on paper, Jeff Bezos looks like he's down here, right? Because he's only having an income of that because he's purposely paying himself this amount. And he should be, so which puts him in this tax bracket. But he should be on this tax bracket because Jeff Bezos is obviously could pay himself way more than what he's paying himself, but he doesn't want to be in this tax bracket over here paying a higher percentage. He wants to stay here, and that's perfectly understandable. Jeff Bezos should do that. That's the way that the system works. And Alad says that's kind of unfair because like it doesn't it's kind of unfair because like the system that we have these tax brackets for a purpose. Like he can afford to come over to this tax bracket and pay a little bit more taxes. Like there's no reason for him not to, except for the fact that it's a higher tax bracket and Jeff Bezos doesn't want to do that. And Jeff Bezos can do that. Like that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with it. Alad has a minor problem with it, but he's not really interested in like changing the system and how it works. And that's basically what Alad is saying.
My point is, let's start with, you don't even know what a C Corp is, so let's not play the game of, you think Jeff Bezos intentionally took an action to obfuscate his wealth and avoid paying taxes.
You don't think that's what he's doing here?
No.
Oh, that he did? Okay. Then
That is.
Yeah, see, I disagree. Jeff Bezos could pay himself more, right? But Tim Pool is like, oh no, Jeff Bezos is this bastion of truth. No, this good faith, this good guy that, like, obviously he can't afford to pay himself more, right? It's not like he's making billions of dollars in his companies. Like, bro, what are you talking about, Tim? How do you say no to that? You don't think Jeff Bezos could pay himself a little bit more? Like, bro, that's all a lot is saying, and that is ridiculous. That is actually ridiculous. I heavily disagree with Tim with this.
Is applying malintent to a man who is probably just abiding by tax law as he's instructed by his...
He is not applying malintent. Oh my God, you're over-exaggerating what the word loophole means. Like, Tim thinks loophole is like this terrible word, and I'm like, what is your definition? We need to that Tim is getting triggered by the word loophole, like I've been saying the entire time. He thinks loophole is like this very terrible thing. Oh, malintent. I'm like, bro, first off, no one's perfect. So what if he has a little bit of malintent? So what if he has a little bit of malintent? Like he's going to lower his income just so he pays a better bracket. You don't even need malintent to do that, but it would still be considered a loophole. But I keep repeating myself. Like Tim thinks loophole is a bad thing. So
lawyer.
In order to achieve what? The loophole.
It's not a loophole when you are doing what the law tells you have to do.
What?
All right, let's look up the word loophole. What does loophole mean?
Loophole.
Bro, why? And what? I define, yes.
Ambiguity.
Oh, I know what that is. An ambiguity, or I hate.
Worse, nary.
Inadequacy.
LOL, that was funny.
I hate when I ask for a definition and it gives me more words that I don't even know the definition of. But that's so cool.
Inadequacy.
Ambiguity, or okay, that word in the law or set of rules. This doesn't say anything about being bad or wrong. There's no moral attachment to this word. Like Tim thinks it's, oh, you're only say like loophole. It's malintent. Oh, it's implying malice when it's not. It's neutral. That's not a. It is a loophole. They exploited tax loopholes. Like maybe exploited would be the negative connotation. Just say they did loopholes.
I meant Tim saying that poor Bezos can only give himself $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Like, bro, what? I know Tim didn't say that explicitly, but he disagreed with the fact that here, we'll just listen to him again, because that's not the best interpretation for what Tim said, but that is what Tim is basically saying.
Tim, you understand that he's purposefully taking a low. He was taking a low income on purpose. He was taking a low salary on purpose to be able to affect this loophole, and that is the issue at hand. No, he purposefully set it up this way so he would
fundamentally misunderstand how any of the corporate structure works in this country. Let's try this. Let's slow down. What is a C corp?
There's like a C corp and an S corp. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the exact.
You don't know why they exist. Okay, first,
one's for an individual, I believe, and one's for a group. But you could go ahead.
Right. So the issue here is, if you don't understand.
Oh, the condescending, it hurts. It hurts, but I'm just going to keep playing it.
Something as basic as like, they have B Corps now, LLCs. An S Corp technically is an LLC. A C Corp is as well. There's special classifications. If you don't know what those mean, that's 101, okay? So if you look to a CEO who's running a company and then you go, he should pay money on money he doesn't have, is what you're saying, because the company he runs is worth a lot of money. We have a problem here where logic has failed. My point is, let's start with, you don't even know what a C Corp is, so let's not play the game of you think Jeff Bezos intentionally took an action to obfuscate his wealth and avoid paying taxes.
Oh, that whole reframing. Oh, I didn't even notice this the first time I watched it. That whole reframing. That's not what he's saying, but okay. You just disproved an argument that he never made. Okay.
You don't think that's what he's doing here?
No.
Oh, that he did? Okay.
That is applying malintent to a man who is probably just abiding by tax law as he's instructed by his lawyer.
In order to achieve what? The loophole.
It's not a loophole when you are doing what the law tells you have to do.
Well, I think it's a distinction without a difference. They set up the law in such a way to act as a loophole. There's a loophole.
An individual is doing something maliciously, whereas what's actually happening is he called his lawyer and said, how am I supposed to do this? And they said, based on U.S. tax code 531C, you have to do this, you have to file this, and you have to pay yourself this. When I first started this company,
No. Jeff Bezos can definitely afford to pay himself a little bit more. Like, wait, is his tax accountant saying, oh, if you pay yourself a little bit more, you might be in a higher tax bracket? And then that's why he's like, then maybe I shouldn't pay myself more? That's exploiting, that's a loophole. Well, I mean, the way that Tim's definition of loophole, I think, is heavily skewed to having such a negative connotation. Like, I understand why Tim is getting triggered by this, but at the same time, Tim, stop. Stop. Like, if you were being less condescending, I could be more sympathetic to why he's has this definition of loophole, but he's just being a little too condescending for me to be sympathetic to him.
My accountant told me, here's the range at which you can pay yourself. I said, okay, then I'll just choose a number. We have profits for this company. Profits tax at a lower margin than employment. So CEOs want to pay themselves less, but...
So they don't pay, so they don't go into a higher...
A loophole is avoiding something on a technically.
Yes, on a technicality, yes. Why did it say like on a technicality? Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't know why the thing said it like that. That's funny.
There's a market, there's an expected market value.
But he thinks that doing that implies that it's malice or malintent. And I'm like, it could. It's not always. But Tim is getting very frustrated with that. And Tim, why? Stop being so retarded right now.
Here's another thing I don't think you understand. We cannot...
He's very emotionally charged right now. That's why he's not thinking clearly.
Pay people above market rate. You can try to justify it. You're opening yourself up to an audit. I go to my accountant and I say, hey, we got this guy, he's a big talent. I want to pay.
Okay, so he knows that Bezos can justify the fact that he could pay himself more. He knows that that's a possibility, but we're just going to ignore that?
Pay him, $1 million. They say, what's his job? Oh, he's a
musician.
Say,
it's legal, but amoral normally is it's against the spirit of the law.
Yeah. Yes, but it's not always amoral, I would say. Like, if the law is designed that way, exploitation. Okay, so people think, all right, let's exploitation, because that's basically what it's doing. What does exploitation mean?
This is the definition of exploitation: the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work.
Okay, so exploitation has a negative connotation because unfairly, no one's going to argue that the word unfairly is a neutral term. That's not usually when things are unfair, it's usually a negative. Okay, exploiting. And they're exploiting the technicality within the law. Okay, I can see that. I can understand that argument.
Do session musicians get paid $1 million? Not all.
I still think loophole is more generally... I feel like the word loophole should be neutral. Based on loophole definition, because it didn't even have the word exploitation in it, I would say having a little bit of a loophole is fine. Saying that Jeff Bezos exploited this, that's where I will disagree with Allah. But Allah doesn't say that. He just says it's just a loophole. He's using the loophole. And I think that's fine to say.
Often, okay, you're going to have to justify to the IRS when they audit you why you're paying someone so high above market. You shouldn't do that. I say, oh, see, because the tax code works like this, okay? It's not a loophole when the government passes a law that makes you do these things. The loophole is a term used by activists to go after people who are wealthy and claim they're doing something maliciously when they're doing what they're contractually obligated to do or what the government requires them to do. If the government...
Yeah, see, that's such a garbage definition of loophole, but okay, Destiny. I mean, I said that by mistake. Okay, Tim Pool.
Government law, if the law exists and is solidified, and then a company forms, and they say, how do we create a pay structure for the person who runs this company? Well, based on the law, we have to do these 10 things. Okay, and then you come out and go, aha, he's cheating by using a loophole. And he's like, what do you mean? The law was...
He didn't say cheating. Oh my God. See, you're just putting words in his mouth. Oh, he's cheating. No, he's just using a loophole. It's fine, Tim. Calm down.
There before we started the company, and my lawyer...
Like, he's literally working himself up by what he thinks... Okay, all right.
That's how we had to do it.
I think there's an issue with the way our laws in this country are set up to tax, in particular, the ultra wealthy, the top 100, which are in a different scenario than even the top 10,000 people. So there's an issue.
So you're more like a communist.
No,
bro. So this is where it bothers me. Now you're just like they literally just disagree with his argument. So now we're just gonna call him a communist. I'm like, oh my God, this came from a steel man. Why are you calling the guy when it started off from a steel man? You're calling him a communist because he's he's sympathetic to the argument of what the other side is saying about this stuff. Like, bro, you just calling him, like, you've lost the debate when you said that. Oh, he's a communist. Like, what does that even... I mean, I know what that means, but you're just being stupid right now.
Hold on. You think we should tax people on cash they don't have because there is an ascribed
Like, that's so unnecessary. Why would you call him that? That's so stupid.
value in the
I
imagination?
don't know the exact solution for how to tax people who are in the top 10 amount of wealth.
Thank you. He doesn't know the exact solution. All he's saying is...
But if you look at the amount they pay compared to the amount that the top 10,000
It's substantially
earners
higher.
are, is no, like the top 10 have worked.
You are wrong. It is substantially higher.
Okay. Yeah, Tim fundamentally misunderstands. Yes.
What you're talking about, what you're talking about would mean that people that are pensioners that are on fixed income.
I'm talking about top teners.
Stop talking over people. Let me finish.
Bro, that's all you guys have been doing. All you guys have been doing is talking over him. Like, what do you think Tim was doing the entire time? My goodness, you guys have been doing it the entire time. Don't say, oh, one person is only talking. Like, you guys have been doing it too. I wish Alad was a bit more, Alad will give, maybe he's not controversial. No. He's okay with being controversial, but he's not okay with being pushy, or he's not good at being aggressive. Like, him saying that is him being aggressive, but I don't think Phil really understands the point that Alad is making, and that's why he's being really pushy right now, because he wants to understand. Like, he's kind of confused.
Because what you're talking about is taxing unrealized gains. Is that?
I don't know how else to explicitly say. I'm talking about.
No, he's not saying that. But Alad, you should have just said that. You should have just said, no, I am not saying that. Like, the communication here is just not good. Like, Alad, you shouldn't just outright start talking again, because now it looks like you are defending that point when you aren't. You should just say outright, no, that is not what I'm doing, not what I'm saying. But now he's just going to reiterate without giving the no part, which is the communication breakdown here that and I feel like he's getting frustrated because he just had this back and forth with Tim, and now Phil is giving not explaining what he thinks he's trying to say. Like, it's just a communication breakdown now. Basically,
about the top earners and top net worth individuals in our society.
Alad, the method.
That's what I'm talking about.
Alad, stay with me here.
So he's talking about this. They're literally talking past each other. I'm just gonna keep going now.
To do what you're.
Phil, you could have carve-outs. If we're talking about specific people, we could have the law set up in a way that pensioners aren't.
Here's a Jeff Bezos
Now you guys are talking over each other. All right.
law and an Elon Musk law, and you're an insane person.
Let's just rein it in.
That is not what he's saying, but okay. That's a bad faith interpretation.
Votes.
What?
Well, you know I abstained because I try to have
Oh, thank God.
journalistic integrity. But if we do want to wrap it back around to this Doge story, I think it's interesting which stories of Doge cutting, what news stories of Doge cutting we choose to pay attention to, because, you know, on the left, they'll focus on stories like, oh, in the middle of Africa, they're cutting healthcare that saved tens of thousands of Africans, and then they talk about that, and they talk about how, oh, they're cutting different people, different parts.
Yes. I drew you a picture. Maybe the
zoom
picture,
in more?
maybe the picture
I have
can
bad
help.
vision.
This is a graph made by ChatGPT of total taxes paid by income bracket.
Good job, Tim Pool. You typed it into ChatGPT. Oh, look at that. That's that definitely that clears your point up, right? That definitely clears your point, right? Right, Tim? Like, oh my god. Oh, we ChatGPT'd it. Now we know everything. I use ChatGPT. I don't use it to make graphs. Like, I would rather find my own graph.
Why? That's interesting. Total real taxes paid in billions by income bracket, and somehow the wealthiest individuals are paying the overwhelming majority of all taxes.
What percent? I can't see the number. Is the wealthiest?
It's not percent.
It's not percent. It's just million. Like, Alad is talking about the percent. So obviously, Tim, good job at making a graph that has nothing to do with what he was talking about.
It's $1 million plus.
Okay, I'm talking about like the top net worth individuals,
Elad,
which are different than the top 1%.
That's included. What was Bezos' income per year? Was it 1 million?
No,
was it 1 million?
Yes, it was 1 million, which is over inclusive. This is too inclusive. That's his whole point. His whole point is that there's 1 million tax bracket. Yes, Jeff Bezos would be here at the very top.
Million?
It was less, but his net worth was in the hundreds of millions.
Elad, it was $1 million.
Okay.
It was 1 million.
So if you look for a more specific graph,
Oh my god, and the condescending tone really pisses me off.
12 divided by 1. What's 1 million divided by 12?
you tell
Is
me.
it around $80,000?
Okay, Tim.
Jeff Bezos was intentionally paying himself $1 million, plus he was getting an additional $1 million in benefits.
Okay.
Yes. Intentionally paying himself $1 million because he doesn't want to be in a higher tax bracket. Because if he was in a higher tax bracket, he would pay more. That is fine. But that's the loophole. But Tim, you're triggered by the loophole. The word loophole, not even the loophole word itself, just by the word. No, yes, the word by itself. I don't know why I said that.
He was getting a $1 million bonus plus $1 million salary.
This isn't talking about like the specific details that I'm trying to explain to you guys about top net worth individuals that are getting bumped into the top 1%.
Everybody understands.
Yes. He explained it here. I don't know why they didn't like see this. Yes, okay, good. Like he's literally saying that you guys are just not understanding.
You could
want
no, but this
taxes that are
graphic
specific to the individual. You just said that.
You must not hear. I'm talking about the top 100 net
Thank you. You must not hear. Thank you.
worth individuals who have
100.
completely unique situations.
You're not articulating yourself clearly.
Wait,
You're
so are you saying-
you just said.
I agree, Phil. He is not articulating himself clearly. Perfectly. That's the perfect response for this.
Situations. That means you want targeted
Yes, so
taxes
Jeff-
for. Let me finish, so I can make sure that I understand. For specific people that make an amount of money that you deem as enough, you want specific tax law for individuals specifically because they make too much. That's unconstitutional, you psychopath. That's unconstitutional.
So we have a progressive tax law
That is,
already,
you
and it's
want
not
laws you want tax law aimed at people that will make
That's not what he's saying. That's a very bad interpretation. Like, first you were saying, I want to understand if this is what you're saying. And now you're basically saying, I wanted to understand, but this is actually what I think you're saying, and I think you're saying this, and I'm going to call you I'm going to call you very unconstitutional. Like, you're not listening to a lot at this point. You're just screaming at him.
No. We're going to move on. We're going to go to the next story, but I'm going to say this. Ilad is simply just trying to say anything that gives him the correct position in the argument, even though nothing he said has even aligned with anything he said prior. Right?
You were... Bro, this is why I said that Tim was projecting. This is why I said Tim was projecting. Here, let's listen to this one more time.
But I'm going to say this. Ilad is simply just trying to say anything that gives him the correct position in the argument, even though nothing he said has even aligned with anything he said prior.
What is asking... Okay, so what were you doing when you were asking him what a C Corp is and he didn't know? And then you said, oh, it's 101, bro. Oh, logic doesn't... Like, that doesn't logically track. Like, what are you... You literally just did that. You just said a bunch of random nonsense, and now it doesn't track onto anything that you're saying right now. Like, that's literally what you did. What was that questionnaire thing that you did before? Like, what do you call that? You literally just explained what you did. Bro, that is projection. Good projection there, Tim. Good projection. I'm really annoyed. I'm really annoyed. Because he sounds like Destiny to me right now.
Right? You just keep changing what you're saying.
No, you guys just aren't listening to what I'm saying.
Yes.
I believe in a progressive tax rate, and specifically
Let's go one point at a time. What is a progressive tax rate?
Yeah, let's go one point at a time because Tim he can't remember. Tim is too his brain just he can't keep a lot of information in his head. So he needs to go one point at a time because I don't got a lot of memory, you know? I'm being really mean to Tim right now. I'm being really mean to Tim. All right, let's keep going.
The more income that you have, the higher income that you have, the higher percentage that we tax you at.
And how does a progressive tax rate work?
The more income that you earn, there are different brackets. So let's say if you earn, I don't know, up to 50K, it'll be something like 15 to 20%. Then you go to 100K, it'll go up.
I like how he said we're going to move on, but now Tim wants to stay on this topic. Good one, Tim.
To like 20, 200K, 25. The issue is when you get to
are you saying that if you pay 100K, you would have to pay 30,000 in taxes, but if you paid 50K, you'd pay 5,000 in taxes?
The issue is with the top individuals that I'm talking about specifically that don't pay taxes in a normal way.
And what does that mean in a normal way?
So again, people like Jeff Bezos, where their net worth is bound up in, again, what are some of the biggest companies in the world right now.
You have stock?
Yes, I do have stock.
Are you paying
tax? Oh my God, he focuses on stock when we're not even talking about that. But good one, Tim. Good one, Tim. Good faith. Good job at trying to understand his point. We're going to go back into stock. We're going to harp on stock because he said the word stock. Tim, you're being really right now.
Taxes on that stock?
When I sell, I do.
Oh, so Jeff Bezos should have to pay when he doesn't sell because...
No, but see, Tim, here's the issue.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Good job, Tim.
I'm not comparable to Jeff Bezos in any way. It doesn't make sense to tax me in any similar way that you're going to tax Jeff Bezos.
So you're
somebody who has...
All right, slow down.
Yeah, but that's my point.
Slow down. Okay, let's try this again. So you're saying that at a certain level of imagined wealth, that's what it's called, imaginary wealth. It's not there's real wealth and then imaginary. The value of stock is considered imaginary, and that's the actual term. So you believe that there should be a law that states at a level of imaginary wealth, we should take cash from you, real wealth.
So I'm not sure about...
That's not what he's saying, and like he said, he's not sure about how we're going to do this. He's just saying that it's a problem. But you think I'm just repeating myself.
specific mechanisms of how the laws will be set up. I think there are issues with how we tax our top net worth individuals in this country. And I think that's plain and obvious.
What issue?
That they pay less than the people.
Well, hold on.
No, the issue is that Jeff Bezos could pay himself more, but he doesn't. That's the issue. And I can see why that's unfair. I'm not going to change it because if I was making that money, I would do the exact same thing. But hey, it's an issue. Or it's to him, it's an issue. To me, it seems a little bit unfair. But like, I would do the same thing.
I showed you the graph. They don't pay less.
All right, so again, I was telling you, this graph isn't specific enough. So the top 1% is over-inclusive to like the top income.
Yes, I literally said that. Thank you. I forgot that he said that. Thank you. Yes. Like I said, yes, this is over-inclusive.
Earners in our country.
I needed to hear that.
1%, there's a 1% issue of the.
They don't pay less.
All right, so again, I was telling you, this graph isn't specific enough. So the top 1% is over-inclusive to like the top income earners in our country. So within the 1%, there's a 1% issue of the 1%ers.
You need to slow down.
Yes. What do you mean he needs to slow down? Shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Like, yes, there's an issue with this being included with all of this. Yes, there's an issue with this being included with all of this. Yes, that is fine. And now Tim's like, oh, you need to slow down. Like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, what? What is that even? Okay.
We don't need a higher bracket than $1 million income per year to show that the bracket of 1 million up to infinity pays substantially more taxes than all other income brackets, despite the fact they make up.
Who cares? Who cares? That's not the point. Who cares, Tim?
1% of tax of the tax base. They are paying somewhere around 60% of all taxes.
I think within the.
Bro, there's not even a percentage on this graph that you're talking about, but now you're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna talk about percentage. There's no percentage here. It's just money making. Income brackets.
1%. The 99% pays more, a lot more. The 1% of the 1% isn't paying their fair share, I guess.
That is incorrect.
What do you mean that's incorrect? Yes, obviously the 1% of the 1% is paying exactly the same as the 99% of the 1%. Yes, that I see why that's unfair. The 1% that's making billions of dollars versus the people that are only making millions of dollars, they're paying exactly the same. The billionaires are paying exactly the same as the millionaires, and I see why that's unfair. The billionaires should probably pay more than what the millionaires are paying. Yes, that seems unfair. I wouldn't change it because I kind of disagree with it, but I understand why they see it, why that's unfair. But Tim's like, "Oh no, that's not a problem. That's okay. It's okay if the millionaires do that. It's fine if the millionaires and billionaires are paying the exact same thing." Like that's literally. I don't even think Tim is even using his brain right now. I'm gonna be a little bit more good. I don't think Tim is using his brain. I think he fundamentally just does not understand what Alad is saying. He fundamentally doesn't understand. He thinks this graph proves everything when obviously it shows that it's over-inclusive to what Alad is specifically talking about. Yes, true. Thank you, Alad, for saying that. But Tim, you're not. Oh, it hurts to watch.
Well, that's your opinion.
It's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Let's go back. Okay.
Taxes than all other income brackets. Despite the fact they make up 1% of the tax base, they are paying somewhere around 60% of all taxes.
I think within the 1%, the 99% pays more, a lot more. The 1% of the 1% isn't paying their fair share.
Yeah, see, this is the part where Alad is being like, that's not a good way of explaining what you're trying to say.
I guess that is incorrect.
Well, that's your opinion.
It's not an opinion. That's a fact.
You know that Elon.
No, it is an opinion. You don't think it's a problem. You don't think the 1% making. Yeah, okay. I explained myself.
You know, what do you pay, like 70 billion or something?
Elon
or
Musk
7 billion?
paid more taxes than any other human in history in, I think it was 2021 or 2022.
That's because Elon Musk purposely paid himself he liquidated a ton of stock, which gave him so much income, and he had to pay a lot of taxes on that income that he got from liquidating or turning his stock into actual cash. Yes. Elon Musk did it. You're literally proving his point. Like, he brings up the whole Elon Musk thing as if it's an own on Alad, when Alad is literally saying, yes, Jeff Bezos could do this and then pay even more in taxes, and that would be perfectly fine. But he chooses not to do that, which is also fine too. I don't disagree with that. But that's the thing that's problematic here. He can do that, but he chooses not to because he doesn't want to pay more in taxes. I mean, that's speculation. but like, no one needs more than $1 million. Like, he can argue that, but like, yes, this is a point for Elad. This is a point for Elad.
The impression that you have, Elad, the impression that you have is not actually reflected.
I think you have a misunderstanding.
11 billion.
I literally tried to articulate your argument back to you, but you were too busy talking over me.
We're gonna go to the next story. I'll just wrap up by saying Elon Musk paid $11 billion cash taxes in 2021.
How much? 11 billion?
11 billion, more than any other person in human history. Okay, so your talking points are progressive leftist activist talking points. They're incorrect, but we're going in circles.
What? Oh, your talking points. It's just talking points, guys. It's progressive left bad thing. It's bad thing, guys. What he's saying is bad thing, so don't listen to him. You're being so stupid right now. Like, so retarded. This is the most low IQ thing I've ever heard him say ever. Like, you lost the debate, and now you're just going to call him names. This is stupid. This is retarded. Why are you being so retarded, Tim? Oh, we're going to move on now because it's my show, and I don't like being called, like, I don't like losing debates, guys. So let's go move on now. Like, you weren't supposed to move on like 10 minutes ago? Like, bro, like, this is just so stupid. Like, this end part just makes me say, Tim, shut the fuck up and just go move on. Like, bro, you've made no points here. And you've proven that you don't even want to understand what Elad is saying. Or maybe he's starting to slightly understand what Elad is saying. And now he's going to be like, oh, yeah, let's just move on because I've lost the debate, guys. Like, I could speculate or psychoanalyze what he's trying to do all day back and forth. But it pisses me off. Pisses me off. And this is the part where I was like,
Damn fired up.
Yes, I am. It pisses me off. So whatever. Let's just keep going.
To the story from Yahoo.com. Salem police investigate shooting.
Like, that was this part was just so unnecessary.
Okay, so your talking points are progressive leftist activist talking points. They're incorrect, but we're going in circles. Let's jump to the story from Yahoo.com.